It's not a Têkkel Talk Show Thursday. It's a Têkkel Talk Show Wednesday again. Just moving our show around to accommodate the current load shedding schedule to make sure that we are live, whether it is on a Wednesday this time, Albert, but we are live.
We are here, also Ziso Mensa. So yeah, welcome to another Têkkel episode on a Wednesday though, like you mentioned. Yeah, I've got a lot to chat about. Got an exciting prize to give away. Ja, en hy kan ons hier deelneem. Jy sien ek sal likes van
ons kan deelneem as jy die antwoord ken.
Nee, die volks kyk uit. Ja, net die volks kyk uit by die game en net so net rustig wees, maar yeah, guys, there's two tickets up for grabs. We're going to talk about that in a short while, but welcome to Têkkel Talk Show.
No, for sure. Obviously, you saw on our social media platforms, we're giving away a set of 7 tickets for this weekend's Sevens in Cape Town, and we'll reveal some of that a little bit more. We have some nice discussion points tonight. We don't have a guest again. We apologize for that because we have some load shedding to deal with, hence moving our show from Thursday to Wednesday. But we are here, like I said. And then obviously we're going to chat about the Springboks and their great victory. And then we're going to have a sneak peek into what is happening in our Super Brew pool. And as always, further on, he said Têkkel Wednesday. Klink weird, but I'm here. He's here. That's the first time he's using that hashtag. But as Woensdag was, is reg, LB. Ek het daar so 'n bietjie vir LB verloor. Ek dink hy is so seker daar. LB is daar.
Ek is hier.
Vir 'n oomblik het ek gedink ek het jou verloor. LB, kom ons review gou daarso. Ons het 'n fantastiese prys om weg te gee. En ons gaan vir julle die hele show vir 45 minute kan jy natuurlik 'n bietjie rondsniffel en 'n bietjie rondkyk. En ons het 'n vraag, ons het gesê ons gaan 'n paar van die Sevens tickets vir Saterdag se Sevens in Kaapstad weggee. En ons het 'n vraag wat met die Sevens verbinding hou. How many Blitzboks are currently in the top 10 list of the most tries scored? How many Blitzboks are currently in the top 10 list of the most tries scored of all time? En wie is hulle? As julle nog uit bonuspunte wil verdien, kry vir ons die name. Wie is hy ouens wat in die top 10 lys is van die meeste drie op die IRB circuit van alle tyd? Wie is hy Blitzbok?
It must be the how many players and the names. Please be clear on that. Please, guys.
That's it. So please have a look.
Niks spelfoto nie.
Niks spelfoto nie. Miskien sal ons 'n spelfoto of 2 aanvaar. But drop us it in the comments box and we will show some of your answers as the show goes. We have some people in the back end, some of our auditors checking this information and will give through to us the winner just before the end of the show. So let me just repeat, how many Blitzboks are currently in the top 10 list of the most tries scored? This is in Sevens, obviously the Blitzboks of all time. And what are their names? We want to know their names, and obviously that will earn you that vital points to walk away with that set of 7 tickets.
Yep. And just so you can comment on our Facebook and our YouTube page. Like I said, your name goes into a pool, and dan word dit geschommel, and there you go. A winner will pop out of that. So yeah, guys, it's gonna be interesting. Don't miss this one. It's gonna be awesome.
Great. So there you have it. Please participate. Please drop it into the comments box, and you can be heading off to Cape Town with 2 tickets to watch the Sevens this coming weekend. Barry, moving on, obviously, the Springboks, we said last week.
Yep.
Will the Springboks be able to make us smile again after a dismal performance against Australia in that first test? They came out and played, let's say, an improved performance by the Boks. Not perfect, but certainly something that is much improved than what we were expecting.
No, 100%. I think the one key word, one key, point out of it is intensity. I think the intensity was rivaled, by the first game that they played against the All Blacks. They didn't need any motivation at first test. And I think that's probably, we'll touch on it a bit later, the inconsistency of teams. But for me, the intensity was there. Albeit also the fact that, you had an exciting play on fly-off. A player, making defenses think a bit more than just, we're going to kick, or, it's going to be this, the 4-2, crash balls or whatever. But we have a fly-off that was enterprising. He was playing, and David Willems kept guys busy. He doesn't keep one guy busy. He kept two guys busy, and I think that was a key difference for me. Obviously, players like, I think we both spoke about Sia Kolisi. For me, I think he should have been man of the match. He played an immense game, a wonderful game. But yeah, we spoke about it also. There's one or two things we spoke about, just in terms of that center combination. Whether Jesse didn't play too bad. He kept his man, he kept his channel. But yes, at the same time, was mis vir Lucanio. Ek bedoel, it's a world-class player.
Ja, is 'n groot verlies. Ons gaan later 'n bietjie gesels oor dit, want op die oomblik lyk dit nie of die Springbokke 'n werklike opvolger vir Lucanio am het nie. They have a few guys
worthy opvolger.
Yeah, worthy guys. They have a few guys that can play in that position. But I think you spoke about intensity, but also the intent was there. I think the intent to play a little bit more. Yes, they did squander, I think, 2 or 3 clear overlaps, because they are so programmed in trying to kick for territory that they don't look up and see that there's a
eerste helfte.
It's eintlik 'n bietjie kommerwekkend, but I think having a guy at fly-off, and you mentioned it, and we're going to speak about Damien Willems at fly-off at length a little bit, because we want to have the comments of those people online. We spoke about, when that the question is Damien Willems our answer at number 10? Definitely a guy that can play all around the park. I want to say, in the absence of Lucanio, he's the one guy in the current squad, and even with some of the guys outside of the squad, he's probably the one guy that I would consider at number 13. I would not, especially on a long-term injury, I would not look at a guy like Jesse Kriel. I don't think Jesse Kriel has got the dimensions needed to play at that level, especially leading up to a World Cup. He's done very, very well at outside centre previously, but he's had his fair share. So I think Damien Willems, he is certainly behind Andre Pollard and behind Elton Jantjies, having a versatile player. He has played there at number 10. Is he the long-term solution at number 10? I don't think so. I think he needs to perhaps look at either playing at number 12, or perhaps in Lucanio's absence, playing at number 13. We know that he's a great player at number 15 as well, but I would also want to see Warwick Galant get a fair chance in playing in that number 15 jersey as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We have got some exciting players. The one position is 13, like you said, that we don't have anybody close to Lucanio. But with that said, we want to see game time given. I mean, Fassi, for me, has fallen off the map, and it's not his fault. It's not that he played bad in URC anything. He's been on the fringes all the time. And coming back to our point last week, ek voel ons moes die jong manne 'n bietjie meer kansse gee. Ons moes the eventuality of a possible Lucanio getting a ban, for argument's sake, for a high tackle or in a World Cup. Who are those players? And I would have liked to have seen who can slot in at fullback in that case if Damien is not around. Who can slot in at 13, for example, when Lucanio is not around. When Lucanio is around. But with that said, those combinations I feel should have been tested way before, even during the Welsh series, and not blooding 14 guys into the team and then expecting us, the whole team, just to create miracles. But yeah, again, going back to what you just said now, I think if just based on Damien's skills and what he brought on Saturday, his kicking game was off here and there, something that could be worked on. But he almost gave more impetus on fly-off than what Andre has given over the last few weeks. He's given his answers. I think for me, to answer this question of is the answer 10, with him being utility back, I think his wide skill range, that's already not just for 10. I think we've already established that. I think he does bring that to 10. Long term, I don't know. I agree with you. I would love to have seen Warwick, come into the team. And at the same time, I would have liked to have seen maybe just a looking at Flyer, for example, there's Manie Lebok, on the fringes. What can Manie do going into the World Cup? Those players should be given opportunity, they should be given a seat on a plane to Europe at the end of the year and, play that warm-up game against, I think is it Brighton or is it Munster, one of the warm-up games? Give him a game and let test him in that conditions. I think that's the perfect opportunity. Manie Lebok is that Flyer that we're looking for. That's a recognized Flyer that kicks well to post, that can take on the line, that runs flat, that can play into space. I think he's the answer. But with that said, look, it's up to the powers that be, to decide that.
I think the one problem with that we must identify with Damian Willemse, and this is just again, it's just an observation from my side. Damian Willemse is not the guy you want to burden with anything else but playing his game. If you select him at Flyer, you need to have somewhere in that back line, you need to have a place kicker. And that is the big problem in selecting him at number 10. And I think that's the problem that will arise. You don't want him to stand over a ball.
And that's why Frans Steyn was in the team. That's why Frans Steyn slotted a very difficult kick. He slotted, and that's to that point of yours.
In fact, Frans Steyn wouldn't even make my squad. But let's leave it at that. I believe that there's a lot of other players. I don't know why Frans Steyn is making the squad. There must be some explanation. There's Fassi that's been left out. Kane Moody coming through. They've got there's a lot of players that they can put there. And Damian Willemse is the answer to our Frans Steyn long term. He can play at different positions. He's a really good player at fullback. He can play center. He can slot into the fly-up. He can play in a 6-2 split on the bench if needs be. Damian Willemse is our answer to Frans Steyn. I think Frans Steyn has had his fair share. I'm going to be really, really surprised if he makes the cut for the Rugby World Cup. Yes, he can come on from the bench. He can come on and slot at long kicks. He looks good. But I think he's had his time. What a servant for South African rugby. But I believe that there's a lot of young players that can slot into a Springbok side seamlessly if given the chance. Ek het daai 19-jarige ouetjie van Parel dopgehou. Ek kon nie glo dat dit sy eerste toets.
Class. Absolute class.
It's pure class. That guy's got it. Everything is great in the air. He's calm in defense. He reads the play well. He scored a magnificent try. He kept the Australian defense guessing every time he touched the ball, and more specifically, I think his defensive reads spot on. When to go in as a winger, when to stay out wide. He had for me a perfect test match. I was a bit worried of giving him a test match where the Springbok come from a bad loss. They play against an Australian team in Australia with their tails up. They dump this youngster at the wing playing against a winger with test credentials. Kane Moody is a pure class player.
Brilliant.
And there's many youngsters like a Kurtley Arendse, like a Jaden Hendricks, they'll take to a duck to water. And those are the guys, Ivan Roos. Give him the chance. He'll show you that he can play at test level.
Natural football, natural ballers. I think that's what they are. I think they, if you even look what Jaden brought, the discussion of Jaden being an understudy is done, guys. Jaden is our number one scrum off. Let's put it out there. Hy's van die Sharks, maar okay, ons sal dit maar ignore. Maar he's our number one, our number one 9 at the moment, number one scrum off. And I don't think there should be any discussions regarding that. When it comes to having, Frans Steyn, I don't see how you would have Frans and Damian in the same team. It's just, it feels like, player for player, and obviously Damian is far above that. What I must say though, and there will be a lot of people that might not agree with me when I say this, but Willie hasn't been that bad coming on. I think Willie, hy praat baie en hy gaan te kere en hy's he's that guy. But Willie does question the defenses all the time of the opposing team. And I think, he might not be a good player putting him on wing, for example. He's the kind of guy who would possibly start maybe and, Warwick off the bench. I don't know. But Willie hasn't been that bad. And I don't want to give too much away from Willie. Willie hasn't been that bad at all. And I've been watching a few of the, the online social media stuff going around and general consensus, even overseas, for example, in New Zealand, that people do have a lot of respect for Willie. I think he commands that. He might have lost a bit of his pace. But Willie hasn't been bad. I think he has, I think you would have to fill that, skull Brits role into into the World Cup, where he comes off the bench, he's there in the setup, he plays the games against Spain or that kind of. But he's the guy who's gonna question a lot of defenses throughout the World Cup, and I'm very impressed with what he's been put up this far this season. Yeah, as Fouta, yes, there is a few, one or two seasons I think yes, he really worried, but yeah, it's been bad. Let's give it to him.
No, I think if everybody's fit, Willie drops. In a 5-3 split, Willie drops out of the starting lineup. I think either Henry or Elton starts at number 10. Damien moves back to fullback. Taking into consideration that Lukani is fit and he won't be fit for quite some time now. Yeah. But I think Willie coming off the bench, he's a great reader of the play. I think he's a great sub to have. I have a big problem with Willie's consistency. Not over games, but within games, he does a brilliant thing 1 minute, and then all of a sudden he looks like a guy that has just started playing rugby. But I think he's a great guy to have in that 5-3 split. I think he can really cover a few positions, and if you look at what he brings to the party, especially I would say those try assists. The show and go, the fact that Willie can pop up into first receiver, and still play both sides. He's got very, very good distribution skills. I've got a big problem with his consistency, but I believe that he's still a pivotal part of the broader Springbok squad, and he's the guy that if you trail by 3 to 4, 5 points, you need to score a try. He's perhaps the guy you send onto the field with no instructions and say, touch the ball thrice, perhaps something's going to happen.
100%. And I agree with you. I think to that point, and with a few comments coming through, but no, this sounds to me, that's fine. This is what it's all about. We want to hear your comments, guys. But just with that said, even a guy like Elton off the bench, with you 10 points behind, who would you put on flyer for that moment in time? Elton is the guy. I mean, Elton would be able to read space. As klaar opgemors het, we're already 10 points behind the game. You'll be able to get. He's done it against the All Blacks a few times, or once at least in Wellington. Willie can like-minded. Willie is our plan B if we are backs against the wall. And maybe we should get away from the mentality of, and I've seen it this weekend. Our starting team plays, as far as they can play. Instead of halftime, come you off, you empty the tank, you come off the field. Whereas you play, if Malcolm Marx is playing good for 80 minutes, keep him on the field. Why would you want to bring him off in 60 minutes, whatever, if he's so dominant? So to your point, yes, I mean, they could be that, that kind of answer as well. Franco de Silva sê, ons kort iemand wat kan skop. Damien Pollard kan nie skop nie. Ons kort net 'n ball fetcher. Point as well, Heini. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to have seen Dion Fourie, for example, possibly get a starting berth. It was a bit tricky starting in that kind of loose trio that we have and the kind of game plan we have. But definitely a game feature is always a great. You can see what Malcolm Marx brings to the show.
I think there's a big perception that Sia can't fetch. I think Sia is a great player. Sia can play to the ball. I think he's wonderful.
He stole 3 balls on Saturday.
I don't have those stats, but I think if Sia with a guy that really does his work at number 7, like a Peter Step de Toy, and you second Sia to really play towards the ball on the ground, I think Sia is a wonderful fetcher. I think he's got that persona. Yes, he's been doing a lot of other things, especially cleaning rucks, and then a fetcher cannot be the first tackler. Sia's been doing a lot of first tackling. He's been really tackling the guys and allowing a guy like Malcolm Marx to be there to fetch. But I think if Sia gets it role, where a guy like Eben and Franco Mostert makes the hits, Sia's a great fetcher. I think he's strong on his feet. He's really good over the ball. And I think at number 6, if you get the split right, we get a guy like Jasper Wiester or Ivan Roos or Dwayne Vermeulen even. If they fire at all cylinders, making the first time hits, a guy like Eben Etzebeth making the first time hits, and Sia as a second player in, he'll get you to, he'll certainly get you a few balls. Just to answer our own question and to latch on to what Francois is saying, if Damian Willemse is the answer, and this is my opinion, if Willemse is the answer long term at fly-up, he needs to play fly-up for the Stormers in the URC, he needs to play fly-up for the Western Province. I don't think that at international level, you can just shift the player from 12 to 15. I think a guy just grows into a position if he plays there for a long time. And I think Damien Willemse, you don't want to burden him with goal kicking. And I'm saying this, I've watched him. I don't believe he's a natural goal kicker. He'll slot the odd one, and he kicked one in the semi-final of the URC, a very, very good kick. But I don't think he's a natural kicker. And that is and you don't want to burden him with that. But if he's going to play long-term for the Springboks at number 10, he needs to play at franchise level at number 10. I think we still have a guy like Jordan Hendrickse coming through. We still have a guy like Sasan Gomez-Zulu coming through. We still have a guy like Kate Bolhutte coming through. I think Damien Willemse perhaps his best chance to become a 100 test match player is at number 15, or perhaps.
I agree. No, 100% I agree. I think what Saturday showed is that the little bit of his skill set was enough to take Pollard out of position for me, frankly. Pollard has been really off the cuff the last few weeks. Besides his kicking, Pollard, his defense has been dismal, absolutely dismal. And that's something with our rush defense. That's a channel that they're going to target. That's a channel that the Brazils, can target, knowing that Pollard can a step or two and Pollard is laying on his back, not knowing what happened. So yes, just with that little skill, I think Damon is the short-term solution. But I agree with you. 15 is definitely his position, and he should be there.
No, for sure. Another Alberic, I don't agree with Willie. Fella would say Willie's a liability. Willie is an inconsistent player. He's just a guy that really he gets things right. And I think if you look at what he does in some of the tries he creates, you really get the impression that this guy is a really good rugby player. And then he has time on his hands, catching the ball very, very far deep. He then decides to run when he needs to kick. He then kicks when he needs to run. And then on Saturday, he kicked the ball away with 3 guys on his outside. And that is not the type of volley that you want to see. It was a clear overlap, and he just decided to hammer the ball downfield. And that is perhaps a confident or underplayed, a good player that is a bit underplayed and lacks confidence. So I wouldn't say he's a liability as such, but he's certainly not playing as consistently as he has been for the Springboks a few years back.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we were at the Welsh test at Cape Town Stadium, and there was a time when I think he was slotted on the wing against that young Welsh
Rhys Emmett just skinned him. He was just not on it.
Yeah, no, he was out. Yeah, so definitely he's not the kind of guy you would have put in that position and to defend anything. But with that said, his defense is not that great. We know that. But on attack, that's one area the Boks would possibly be lacking. Is on attack and making those decisions, and I think that's where I would get the nod on him. Although Warwick has been playing fantastic rugby, and he didn't obviously get enough chances of this last while. But Warwick is, for me, a more all-around player. He's a more consistent player. His defense is better. His kicking game is better, and he knows when to run into space. And I think that would also be the coming off the bench. Warwick would be that guy. But speaking of inconsistent performances, Aini, the fact that all the teams have played, 2 away. So two games. They lost 2 and won 2, home and away. What is it? Is it the fact that the game has changed? There's so much talk about the game has changed. There's so much talk about, the intensity that rugby's been played at the moment. Can that be upheld 2 weeks in a row? We looked at the Boks performance in their first test against the All Blacks. We were like, Boks should be putting another 20 in the second test at least. And then they couldn't keep up that same intensity. Same players, and they just couldn't keep it up. What is it that players are lacking? Is it the fact that it is intensity, or is the fact that their bodies just can't keep that up? What are your thoughts?
No, I think rugby has evolved so much that you have a group of coaching that really studies the opposition very, very well. And I think if you don't have on the Saturday or on the weekend, if you don't have a plan B or a plan C or something different, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And I think if you look at the All Blacks game, they played a much more direct approach against the Argentines. Remember, if there's one area that you believe that the All Blacks going to hurt you is on the counter attack, and when they do take it wide, with Mohana and Ricky Ioane. But I think guys like Sam Kane and Shannon Frizzell and Adi Sevilla, they played magnificently well in this test match where they beat the Argentines. And I think they did their homework well. If you look at the Springboks test, where they really were one-dimensional against Australia, trying to knock the ball in the corner, trying to maul. And I was one of the biggest critics saying, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you have an opposition that's studying. They have an opposition that can counter. If we need to sack your maul, we'll sack your maul. And then all of a sudden, obviously due to circumstances, they select Damian Willemse at fly-up. They select a scrum out that they haven't seen in a while, and on wing they select an all-round player they can be really, really good. They select a number 8 that's like for like with Dwayne Vermeulen, and all of a sudden the Springboks just changed their approach and they caught Australia off guard. So I think it's more of being prepared to counter what the opposition brings to you. And I don't believe that the team that is going to win the World Cup next year is going to be a team that's going to play there to their strong points. I believe that you need to have an X-factor player. Look at what that Noah Lilo did to us a week ago. He was the main instigator, Alberic. He created a lot of problems. And all of a sudden this week, you could see the Springboks, Eben Etzebeth, guarding him, Siya Kolisi being right there. And all of a sudden there was nothing. They couldn't. I think they were left on 3 points for quite some time, and it was really worrisome for the Australian side to see themselves being pinned back, and they didn't have something different. I think later on in the game they actually brought. So I think inconsistency, yes, but also you must be able to mix up your game plan. If it doesn't work, they must be able to mix it up with a click of a button. You must be able to revert to another game plan.
Agree. I mean, we've seen it in the World Cup final as well. I mean, Rassie was a genius, in that final, just changing it up. We were thinking coming off a game against the Welsh, yes, jy gaan ons nou weer skop en is nou dieselfde ding. But the minute we got turnover advantage, the ball started running, and what happened was you could see, the English defense spreading out. So bringing that element was clearly what happened on Saturday. You had Damon, attacking the line, you had players running on and making sure that we can just opt for something a bit different to before, because they're expecting one-on runners to be coming around and they're playing with our forwards and playing the same style we used to play. But with that said, I almost think the Boks need to get to a situation that we get turned it around up like the All Blacks of old. The All Blacks in the 90s and the 2000s, they were a team that they would start with their game plan. And second off, they can switch it up just like that. They will be able to change it so quickly, not giving too much away, and be able to read now. I almost feel we should be able to adapt with that set in the game and not over 2 tests or 3 tests. I think we've done it against the Welsh, we've done it against the British Irish Lions, where we adapt after a test. We should be thinking a bit faster on our feet within a game. I think we should be adapting, and it starts off with strategic play and also making sure our subs that are selected coming on the first half, coming onto the second half. That game plan we should be able to adapt. I think that is a way to counter. We 20 points. Look at the game against the All Blacks. I think we were so dominating the first half. If I'm not mistaken, we were so dominant. But I think the gap was like a couple of points, if I'm not mistaken. Then, besides the fact the All Blacks scored a couple of times in the beginning, but we were dominant in certain phases of the game. How do we switch up and take it up another level? I think that's what the Boks miss going into the World Cup. We've got very tough games. We've got the Irish in our pool, and then going into the second match, we've got very tough games. And all those games demand different defenses, different tactics, different strategies. And how do we mix it up? And I'm hoping Jacques is holding something in his back pocket, as a little card, just to say, okay, you know what, we'll keep that and bank it for the World Cup in a pressure game, etc., etc. So I'm hoping that definitely is. Guys, just to let you know, there's a few comments coming through as well. Just make sure. Let's run the question again, Aini.
Boks are currently in the top 10 list of the most tries scored of all time. And who are they? Please mention their names and tell us how many of them. How many? How many are they? The top 10 list, and you could be walking away at the end of the show with 2 7 stickers for this weekend's sevens in Cape Town. So there you have it. Please let the comments come through. We have some people behind the scene looking out for your correct answers. And there's just to refresh your memory, New Zealand convincing victory over Argentina. I managed to get that right on Super Brew. And then I went against the Springboks. I picked Australia to beat the Springboks in Australia. And how wrong, what a bounce back by the Springboks, coming through and beating Australia convincingly by 24 points there.
Yeah, what a performance by the All Blacks. It almost reminded me of the All Blacks of old, just the sheer dominance. We've also been talking a lot about that defense, the centre combination. Ricky Wahadi played fantastic in this game. It must be said, he played a really awesome game. I think he played well with Abili. And I think they really kind of, possibly found their groove. Let's hope so. I'm not too sure if they'll be able to, testing themselves against the Aussies, if the same thing will happen. But we also know what the All Blacks do against the Aussies. It's a tough one, and you would almost lead to the All Blacks winning in Australia in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, for sure. And we're all looking forward to those games. And there you have it, Australia versus New Zealand. That obviously next weekend. And then Argentina versus South Africa. South Africa traveling to Argentina, and we understand they started training already today to make sure that they acclimatize and that they are ready to play a Argentine side again. Like we've mentioned, very inconsistent. If they're on, they're on, and if they're off, they're off. So I think we hope that we do catch them off guard. But I think we have now got some confidence after regaining some pride after we were thrashed by Australia in that first test, and then afterwards South Africa beating Australia by 24 points to 8. It's all to play for. It's really, really close in the championship now. Who would have thought a few weeks ago that we would have had all the teams slipping up at the hurdle and really putting this championship up for grabs for anyone now to come out and perhaps walk away with the title.
Yeah, it's massive. I think it's probably one of the most contested rugby championships so far. So big up to Argentina for keeping it alive. I think their win against the All Blacks was the one that kept the tournament alive for everybody else. But yeah, I think it makes it exciting. It makes it anybody's game at the end of the day. Hoping the All Blacks, it's a home and away fixture for them, and I hope it goes the way of the home teams in that fixtures. And obviously on our side, hoping the Boks can pull one through. We've got a good history against the Aussies in Argentina, and I think I'm hoping we can pull it through.
No, for sure. And then obviously we learned this week we have a big loss. I think, in my opinion, again, I think the second best player consistently in the Springbok side behind Eben Estepes the last 12 months, we lost Lucanio due to an injury. I learned that he underwent surgery. And that doesn't spell very, very good. I'm not sure whether it is confirmed, but it seems to me that he had to undergo some surgery and he will be out for longer than we anticipated. It's a massive loss in a position that I cannot think of a worse position in the whole Springbok setup to lose a player of this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I need Lucanio is massive. It's not just his skill set that's going to be missed. It's his defensive organizational skills that we need as well. I think sometimes at lacked at some moments, with him not being in that position on Saturday. But he is that guy that makes sure that defenses are organized and making sure that we can attack. He's very good on a loose ball and seeing opportunities. We can remember counter tries, whether it's a flip pass, under Usiles passes or whatever. We know that his skill set will be sorely missed, and I think that's going to be the big headache going into next year. I think as far as I heard, I think he'll be out for the entire year, which is massive against. I mean, we're playing against Ireland at home. We're playing against Henshaw. I think it's Henshaw, the centre combination against Ireland. Those are guys that have really showed themselves against the All Blacks. So it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive, especially the French as well. The French is going to be asking a lot of questions on defence at the end of the year. So let's hope somewhere we can find that if you can find someone that's half as good as Lucanio, brilliant. I think that will answer it.
Now, I would have loved to have seen him go with Damien Willems at number 10. I think he's a guy that
yes.
really wants the ball
Oh yes.
to come to him and a fly up to really run at the defensive line and get the ball to him at much flatter and a much bigger pace than Andre Pollard has done. I'm not
Yeah.
taking anything away from Andre, but we know that the fly up with lack of confidence plays deeper, and we've seen Andre play a lot more deeper and deeper, and that
On
had a
attack.
big effect on big effect on Damien Dialende as well. We've seen Damien Dialende get the ball much too early than you would want to, because remember, Damien is a guy that wants the ball, he wants to hammer it up, and that is the cause of that is just Pollard's confidence. He's playing too deep, 2-3 steps too deep, and he allows the opposition to get a lot closer to his centers. But on Saturday, I really liked how Damien Willems mixed it up. And that, the reason for me mixing it up was one of the big catalysts for Franco Mostert's try in the corner, and also Damien Makazolo Mpimpi's try in the corner, was the fact that Damien mixed it up. He was flat, he was deeper, he was closer to the game line, then all of a sudden a little bit wider, then he takes it wide, he takes it flat, he puts up kicks off. It's a good mix, and he really had the opposition guessing. And I would have loved to see a guy like Lucanio in the form that he was before the injury play with a flyer like Damien Willems, who gets the ball to you really flat and really creates space on the outside. It was not meant to be. In the current squad, like I've mentioned, I don't think we've got a real good replacement in him, like for like. But I think if Henry or / Anthony Yankees, if they are fit, perhaps Damien Willems will slot in there. I think a guy that's really deserving, based on his URC performances, and that can play it outside center with a few caps under the belt, a guy like Cornel Hendricks. He probably would have been the guy I would have called up to especially end of year tour. He's quite an abrasive guy, quite a big guy, and he's in form. So that is the guy I would have thought that
I agree.
perhaps closer. We should not lose out of sight a guy like Wandisile Similani, who also had one test and is also now being under the radar. So there's a lot of options. Over to Jack Ninaber to find the replacement now in the short term for Lucanio. I'm leading up to the World Cup.
No, 100%, Annie. I think that's the one thing. And I think there's two positions that we clearly listen to this whole conversation tonight is fly off and a good outside center, and those are the two holes that we need to find. And there's depth in our system. There's depth, and like you mentioned, I agree. A guy like Cornel has been playing rugby, fantastic rugby for a while. I know there was issues with, background issues that they were busy sorting out with regards to his condition and all kinds of stuff. But the player is a good player, and that shouldn't be. If you want to, take a player that's worthwhile off the bench, when Lucanio is injured, then Cornel is your man. He's played wing as well, so he has the skill set to cover those positions. And what he's done for the Bulls this last 2 years or 3 years has been phenomenal. I think we shouldn't forget about him. And if anybody knows Jacques Ninaber's number, please SMS it to us. I actually show it on screen. If you guys want to see it, please send us Jacques' number to 065 218 8511. That's 065 218 8511. Send us his contact so we can give him a shout and say, kyk hier, asseblief man, luister gou net mooi.
Ja, nee, verseker. And before we wrap it up, I think it's important that we also look at that Super Brew pool. And like I've mentioned to you, Barrick, wasn't good for me. I went against the Springboks, and there we have it. We've got a guy like, I think it's Bluebird without the profile picture. He moves up there. He's got the yellow cap, and he jumped up. I think he got a few bonus points. And then myself dropping off. I'm joining Alberic there at the bottom, but still at the top. I'm not sure for how long is CR7, and the top three at the moment. We've got CR7, and then we have got Carl that moved into the third place at the moment. And they are very
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Massive. It's neck and neck. It's neck and neck. Guys, I mean, look at that. I think I was in 30th position. And you were Jy was baie gemaklik op 7de posisie, so maar ja, ek het jou ingehaal.
Kijk, waar ik alweer.
Ja,
Daar waar ik 5 posities geval, nee.
Jy moet seker teen die bokke gekies het. Maar okay, ons sal nie oud praat nie. But Bluebird, give up to Bluebird, dis al julle cap winner. En hy nie, waar maak ons potjie kos hier naweek? Kom ons kyk gou. Kom ons kyk gou. Oh, Ella 44. So guys, Ella 44 is die buiteras vir potjie kos this weekend. Say the outlevel. So yeah, that's where it's going to be at this coming weekend. So yeah, it's starting up. I'll look at it further down the line. A few of the kind of guys that you can see, they were in the top 10 last year for
relegation zone.
Yeah, they're in the relegation zone. A few players, kind of shocking.
Nolan,
yeah, they were always in the top 10. Yeah, and Boere also, obviously, he's in the bottom section of the loggers, one the last 10 of the group. So yeah, it's all to play for, guys. You don't want to end up having a point course evening. Please, guys, keep your votes coming in for your teams. And CR7 leading very comfortably at the moment with 8 points. It's seker snif van die neus gekry. Die Argies gaan teen die All Blacks wen 2 weke terug. So one team.
No, for sure. And it's still all to play for the title. We know there's a prize as well. You can obviously walk away with your sublimated Têkkel Talk Show rugby jersey. So it's all to play for still in this rugby championship. Make sure you get your picks in. Obviously, this weekend we take a little bit of a break just for you to recap and to re-energize. And next week again, we'll get our picks in to see who predicts the best and walk away with maximum points. Ja, ben ek het lyk vir my, daar is dit nee, rugby championship competition vir die van julle wat super brew speel, daar is die pool name en die pool code. So join ons super brew pool en natuurlik kan jy dan lekker pryse wen. Daar is die wenprys 'n customized rugby tray wat jy kan wegstap daar met 'n wenner. Ja, ben ek het lyk vir my daar is 1 of 2 regte antwoorde daar op die dinges, op die ek sien daar's 'n paar regte antwoorde, maar ons het natuurlik behind the scenes het ons iemand gehad wat daar die wenner aangewys het. Dis 'n dame, klik na dame. Dis 'n dame.
Yes, the winner of this wonderful prize of 2 tickets to the rugby.
Sê die naam ook reg. Die naam, ek wil die name sê, name.
Sê die name reg en sy het teruggekom. Om te sê weet is, ek dink sy snip en lees gevang that we asked for how many box there are as well as the players. So the winner.
Was dat 3 van hulle, né?
There was 3 of them. The answer to our question was 3 Springboks, Siobela Sonatla, Fabian Juries, and South Africa. I've just got a note as well that she was the first girl also to jump on. And then the names were drawn. And Rhonda Brown is our winner. So congratulations to Rhonda Brown. You win the 2 tickets to the Rugby World Cup 7s. We'll be in contact with you and we'll let you know what it entails. Make sure you have your own flights to Cape Town Stadium. We don't have a couple of flights.
Lekker Rhonda Brown. I think I got, was it one is South Africa? The one is the one Fabian Juries.
Fabian Juries and
the third one.
Yeah.
Okay, I would have at least had 2 out of the 3. But there you have it, Rhonda Brown. Well done. Julle gaan lekker Kaap toe Saterdag en julle kan wegstap daar met 'n wonderlike prys om die 7s by te woon Saterdag. And we will make sure we will find out from where she is and make sure that she gets it.
There we go.
Rhonda is op die show, guys. Dankie Têkkel.
Ja, jippie. Dankie Têkkel.
Ja, okay, nee, daar's Rhonda, ja. Ek sien Rhonda Brown, nee, ek ken haar gesig, lieflike dame, sy ken haar rugby ook. So sy soek 'n gereelde inskyker, inskakelaar hier van Têkkel Talk Show. So ons gaan seker maak dat ons haar adres kry en seker maak dat sy by môre of laaste Vrydag haar kaartjies kry om Kaap toe te gaan. Ja, wie? Kom ons gesels gou 'n bietjie oor net vinnig. Ons gaan ook Sondag dink ek gaan ons by die 7s wees. Ons gaan sien uit daarna.
Yeah, we're going to be there on Sunday. We're going to be there on the last day. So please, guys, give us a shout. We'll be putting out a few videos, whatever, and hopefully you guys can join us. Get your feedback as to who you think is going to win on the weekend and win the tournament. Hopefully the Boks are still from me as a Boks supporter. Hopefully they're still into to the last rounds or the knockout stages. So yeah, we're gonna come say hi. We'll let you know, guys know where we are at certain positions. Please come say hi. And yeah, we'd like to meet and chat with you guys.
So guys, if you catch it up later on, you wonder why we published our live show on Wednesday. It's because if you don't know, jou ligte gaan een of ander tyd afgaan. Because Eskom het weer vir so 'n curveball gegooi. Maar volgende week selfe tyd, selfe plek, ja, Barry, ons hou van 'n donderdag pas ons almal. So next week, Thursday, same time, same place. And make sure you tune in. We have a wonderful guest lined up to chat with us. And then we'll also have a preview of the Rugby Championships that will be 2 days away this time next week, Thursday. Ja, Barry, was lekker om met jou te gesels, 40 minute weer verby gegaan. Maar ons het die mense hard bly gemaak met 2 sevens tickets. Dis altyd lekker.
Yeah, it's always a roundabout. Enjoy it, and please send us some pictures. You guys got our number. We flashed it on the screen. I'll show it up again. Send us your pictures of you at the stadium, and we're supporting to 065-218-8511. We'll show it in next week's episode.
Yeah, for sure. And if you see us on Sunday, we will be wearing some Têkkel attire. There's a lot of guys we haven't met personally. We know you are online. Walk up to us and just give us a handshake or just introduce yourself. Always nice to chat to some of you guys that tune in so lovely and listen to us having a good live chat every Wednesday in this occasion, but most of the times on Thursday. Now, Barry, and then until next time, I think next week, Thursday, stay safe. And let's hope that our Springbok keep the momentum and that we perhaps have an outside chance to bring the Rugby Championships home. Until then.